If you want to get started building out your Apple smart home, this video is for you. I'm going to walk through step by step how to set up an Apple smart home using a HomePod, adding your first device like a smart plug to control a light, then adding a contact sensor or motion sensor so you can begin automating your smart home. And towards the end of the video, I'll explain terms like Matter and Thread, which can be confusing when you're trying to buy accessories, and I'll make some suggestions on the next accessories you should get that will really make the smart home and automation worthwhile. Step 1 to building out your Apple smart home is you do need either a HomePod, that can be a HomePod mini like this one, the large HomePod, or an Apple TV. If you already have one of these devices, you should be all set. But if you do need to get one, the HomePod mini is a good choice because then you can also control your smart home devices by talking to the voice assistant. I'm not going to say its name because oftentimes that will trigger it in your home. Just know I'm talking about this one. Now, if you want to get both, you can get an Apple TV and a HomePod mini, and you can even use 2 HomePod minis or 2 big HomePods as speakers for your Apple TV. It actually sounds really good. I reviewed the HomePod 2s a while ago and I'll link that video below. But let's start simply with the HomePod mini. I got the one in yellow to match the Apple Smart Home app, of course. We'll get the power brick out of the box, plug the cable from the HomePod mini into the brick, and let's plug it into the outlet. The HomePod mini should start glowing, and this is when you want to grab your iPhone. The Home app comes pre-installed on iPhone, and it looks like this. The first time you open the Home app, or if you're creating a new home, you'll want to name it. We'll just call it My Home for now. You can choose a wallpaper, like taking a picture of the outside of your home and adding it here, and we'll hit save. There's some pop-ups the first time you open it, but I'm going to X out of those. And now we're starting from a blank slate. No accessories added. Well, now that our HomePod is started up, we'll see that card slide up from the bottom, and it's ready to go. Let's set up the HomePod mini. You'll see it's asking you to put the HomePod mini in the center of the frame of your iPhone. It'll play that sound. And we want to add this HomePod mini to the home we just created, the one we called My Home. There's some pre-made rooms here, and putting accessories in the right room becomes helpful later because then you can control using the voice assistant and saying the names of a room. Let's say we're putting this in the living room, and we'll hit continue. Now the HomePod mini is also capable of things like personal requests, and so I'm going to connect it to my iCloud account because I want to be able to use it for that too. I'm also going to say recognize my voice. This way if there's multiple people in the home and you ask it for personal requests like add an event or add a reminder, it should hopefully recognize who's talking. I'll be honest, it doesn't work 100% of the time, but when it does, it's pretty nice. Let's move the HomePod mini off to the side. It'll take a few minutes to set up and connect to iCloud, and then we're ready to add our first device. Agree to all the things, and now our HomePod mini is ready. I'm also going to enable location services, so when I ask it for things like weather, it will be able to answer. Now in our Apple Home app, you'll see that the HomePod is the first device, and it's a part of the living room that we added here. Now the next device I'm going to recommend adding is a smart plug. There's various smart plugs you can get from makers like Maris, and I'll discuss more specific devices in a minute, but let's add a smart plug. Now when you buy a smart plug on something like Amazon, or you can even buy directly from Apple, you want to make sure it says support Apple HomeKit. HomeKit is kind of the original word used for Apple smart home devices, and you'll also see tags like this that says works with Apple Home. That's what you want to make sure is on the accessories that you're buying. Now recently you can also add Matter devices to your smart home, so if you see this tag called Matter, this will also work with the Apple Home app. And again, I'll talk about Matter more in just a second. But when you're buying devices, the main thing you want to look for is HomeKit or works with Apple Home tag. Now every HomeKit device should come with a QR code like this, with an 8-digit number and something here that you can scan to add it to the Home app. Now we're going to take our iPhone with the Apple Home app and tap the plus button here at the top and choose Add Accessory. You'll see the little camera preview here. Put the QR code in that camera view. You'll see it'll recognize the kind of device. It says outlet, and we're going to add it to our smart home. Now you do have to plug this in while it's connecting in order for it to pair. I'm going to plug it into our power strip here, and it's going to take a few minutes even if everything's working properly. So just hang here for a few minutes, and once it's ready to set up, it'll tell you to add it to a specific room. Let's add it to our living room again. You can name the device, and this should be what it's actually going to be controlling. So I actually have a little table lamp here. So I'm just going to call this accessory lamp, hit continue. You can choose how you want this accessory to show up in the Home app, and this is controlling a light, so I'll choose light, continue, and you'll see it's now been added to Apple Home. Oh, also by the way, when you get HomePods, you can use them as intercoms, meaning you can send messages from anywhere by talking to your phone. All right, and now you'll see in the Home app, we have our lamp accessory and the HomePod both in the same room, our living room. Now I'm going to take a lamp here. This is just a cheap lamp I got on Amazon. And then I'm going to plug this lamp into the smart plug. Now, if your lamp or other light has a manual switch on it, you want to make sure it's in the on position permanently. This way it's only being controlled by the smart plug. All right, now that we've plugged in our lamp to the smart plug, let's try to control it using the Home app and see if it works. I'm just going to tap on the light symbol here, and look at that. We can turn on our light pretty quickly just by tapping the accessory here in our phone. And we've added our first smart home device. Now I'm going to jump into the accessory here by, instead of tapping the light icon, just kind of tap on where it says lamp. This brings up a bigger control, which you can slide up and down to control the light. But I'm going to hit the gear icon because we can do some other things, like tap on the light bulb symbol and change the icon. This is more of a lamp, and I want it to look like what it is. You can also toggle on Add to Home View, which means it will put this accessory right on that first page when you open the Home app. Now, when you're adding your first accessories, it may seem like, yeah, I just want everything there. But once you've created a smart home with many accessories and many rooms, you might want to be more selective about the accessories that show up on that first page. You can also choose to include this accessory in your favorites. That means it will put this at the very top of that first page of the home screen. You'll see you have favorites here, and then you'll actually have individual rooms listed underneath. Now, even just with this single smart home device, we can do something like creating an automation. I'm going to tap Add Automation here in the accessory, and we can do things like, at time of day, turn it on or off. Or we can trigger automations for when this light turns on, do something else. Or when a sensor detects something. I'll just do a time of day. And a real easy one is at sunrise. You can choose what days of the week this automation will run. And if you have multiple people in your home, you can actually choose to only run these automations when certain people are home or when they leave. I'll tap Next. We want to enable this automation at sunrise daily. And for the accessory, let's turn it off. So every day at sunrise, our lamp will turn off. I'll hit Done. And I've added my first automation. Now you can see all the automations you've created for your smart home here in the Automations tab. If I go here, you'll see that sunrise daily, and let's create one other one for sunset. When I tap that plus button, you'll see this menu comes up. You can add another smart home accessory, add a scene, which can control multiple smart home devices at the same time, add a room, like a bedroom, and get ready to add devices somewhere else. You can invite someone to your home using the Add People command, and you can even create a secondary home, like if you have a rental or a vacation home, you can have a separate home to control as well. But let's add another automation. We'll do time of day at sunset every day. We actually want to turn our lamp, and again, you can choose which device you want to include in this automation, and we want our lamp to turn on. You can test this automation by tapping here, and you'll know that it's controlling the devices you want. Hit Done, and now with these two automations, every day at sunset, the lamp will turn on, and at sunrise, it will turn off. Let's turn off the lamp for now. And we have our first device and automations in our smart home. Now the next step for making even more advanced automations are using something like a sensor. This is a contact sensor, and this is something you could place on a door or window, and it will know when that door or window is open or closed. And then you can control devices depending on its status. Now Aqara makes a lot of Apple smart home products, and I actually use a ton of them in my house. And this is their door and window sensor, and you'll see it has the Matter tag. And typically devices that have the Matter tag, I can add this to my home without any other hub. My HomePod Mini that I added acts as the hub for all these devices. Now, if you're interested in a future video to talk more about hubs like from Philips Hue, Aqara, and Lutron, let me know down in the comments. Or you can also check out my entire playlist of smart home videos where I do a full tour of my 100 plus device Apple smart home. And I only use Apple Smart Home. There's no Amazon Assistant or Google Home. So if you want to see some of those videos, I'll put that playlist here and I'll link it down in the video description. But let's add this contact sensor to our Apple Home. Now, contact sensors will typically come in two pieces. And because this doesn't require a hub, I do find that contact sensors that work standalone, they're a little larger like this. But I use this specific sensor here in my studio and it works really well. Now, typically for these two parts, I will put the large part on the door frame and a smaller part on the actual door. Now you will have to gauge how deep is your door, and you have to actually put something underneath the sensor to make sure they line up properly. And that's why I actually recommend adding it to your smart home first, so then you can see how close they need to be for the status to change, and then you can judge where to place them on the door. So I'm going to remove the tabs here that activates the sensor. You'll also see contact sensors like this do require a battery, and sometimes they're a weird shape, so just be aware of that. Typically, I only change these batteries once every couple years, so they should last you a pretty long time. Now, sometimes when you have a smaller accessory like this, you won't find the QR code to add it to your home app on the physical device. In the box, there was actually this instruction manual, and many smart home products come like this, but the QR code is actually on the back. This is something you want to save, And there's actually a great app for saving all these HomeKit codes, but I'll show you that in a second. Let's add this sensor to our home. I'll tap the plus button and then add accessory. Let's scan the Matter code that's on the back of this instruction manual. You'll see the Apple Home app recognizes that it's a sensor, and let's add it to our home. Now when we choose what room to put this in, it doesn't have to be in the same room as our lamp in order to control it. Let's say we're actually going to put this on the door that goes out to the garage. I'll choose garage, click continue. Maybe this is our utility room door that goes out to the garage, so I'll call it that. And we can choose how we want it to display. And I'm going to put this on a door, so I'll choose door. And the sensor has now been added to Apple Home. If you see a splash screen like this, there are some accessories that can automatically update themselves without the third-party app installed. I enable those just to try and keep everything up to date. Now you won't see that sensor appear on this home screen even after you add it. That's because sensors actually live in this security tab you'll see here at the top. When I tap security, this will list all the doors in my home. And if I go here, you'll see that the utility room door is marked as open. And now that it's in the Apple Home, before we put it on the door, let's see how close the sensors need to be to register as having the door being closed. I'm going to go specifically to the garage room that I just created, and I can do that by tapping the three dots here in the top right, and you'll see all the rooms listed here. I have the living room where my lamp is, and the garage. I'll go to the garage, and we don't have any accessories set up here, but you'll see that the door is listed at the very top, and it's marked as closed. Now, I'm going to separate the contact sensors, and you'll see the door is now marked as open. So play around with how close the sensors need to be. They don't need to touch, so if I have them that far away, you'll see the door is still marked as closed. Move it a little farther away, and now you'll see the door is marked as open. So put these on your door. Remember this on your door frame, the small contact sensor on the door. Make sure they line up this way and depth-wise or height-wise. And now let's create an automation based on this contact sensor. So for that, I'm going to go to the Automations tab once again, hit the plus button, and I'm going to keep our automations for sunrise and sunset. You can have multiple automations for the same device. I'm going to go to Add Automation, and this time I'm going to select when a sensor detects something. I'll choose that, and then you'll see any sensors we've added to the Apple Home, we can automate it here, and the utility room door is what we want. By the way, when you add a HomePod to your Apple Home, it actually acts as a humidity and temperature sensor, and you can automate things on those sensors as well. I actually have an entire video talking about my top 10 favorite home automations that I've set up. You can check out that video above and down in the description. I'm going to hit next. Now we're going to choose what's going to trigger this automation. I actually want when the door opens for something to happen. And not only that, I can choose what time. So maybe I only want it during the day or only at night. Or I can even specify exact times of day where I want this automation to run. I'm going to say anytime. And again, if you have multiple people in your home, you can even choose whether this runs when people are home or not home, whatever you'd like. So I'm going to go to next. And now we choose what device do we want to control when this sensor opens. Well, I want my lamp to turn on. So I'm going to select the lamp, hit next, tap the lamp to make sure it turns on. Then we can even set an automation for it's going to turn on and then turn off after a certain amount of time. Let's choose 1 minute. So whenever this door opens, the lamp is going to turn on and then automatically turn off after 1 minute. Let's do after 1 minute, and that's it. We'll tap done to create this automation. And now, whenever this door opens, the lamp is going to turn on automatically and then turn off after 1 minute. Let's see if it works. The door would be closed right now because the sensors are really close, touching actually. Now if I move the sensors, the lamp turned on. I know it seems simple, but I think that's pretty cool. Now if I leave the door open or close it, doesn't matter. Either way, after 1 minute, this lamp is going to turn off. Now, if we wanted to, we can create one more automation based on this sensor. So I'll do Add Automation, Sensor Detect Something. We're going to choose the same door sensor we have. And let's say when the door closes, any time of day, we're going to choose our lamp again, hit Next, and we want the lamp to turn off when the door closes. Now, you probably don't want to do this, but just to show you how quickly these sensors can work, I'm going to create this automation. And now, when this door closes, the lamp should turn off. Let's see if it works. Door closed, lamp just turned off. Pretty sweet. Door opens, lamp turns on. And now you can have your lights turn on whenever you open your door, and you can see it happens pretty quickly. One of the reasons is this contact sensor has Thread built in, as does this Wemo plug, and Thread helps some of your smart home devices just respond and act faster. So that's an automation and how you can control an accessory by time of day. But you can also control it via the voice assistant. So no matter where you are on your phone, I'm going to hold the side button to activate you know who, and then say, turn on the lamp. And there you go. turn on the lamp. And then I can tell it, turn off the lamp, and the lamp turns off. So you can control it via the voice assistant. And that also means you can shout to your HomePod Mini, not that you actually have to shout, but you can talk to it and it can control your devices as well. Now you can just say, hey, you know who, and then talk to the HomePod and it'll do it. But I'm actually just gonna tap and hold on the top. This way I don't have to say that word that might activate your devices. Turn on the lamp. Then you can shout, hey, you know who again, turn off the lamp. And there you go, controlling your smart home via voice. Now another way you can control your devices is actually adding widgets to your iPhone home screen or adding widgets to the control center. So for instance, I can tap and hold on my iPhone, I'll go to Edit, Add Widget, and you'll see the Apple Home is an option. I'll scroll over to the Accessories option, tap the plus button, and once you add a widget to your home screen, if you're still in jiggle mode, you can tap on the widget, and you can allow the widget to just show recommended devices, or toggle that off, and then select specific devices you want to control. I want to control the lamp. Now I can tap the widget and control the device that way. And you see, it actually works pretty fast, almost instantaneously. So you can add widgets to your home screen to control your devices, and you can even add controls here in the control center. I'm going to tap and hold on the control center. I'm going to remove one of my shortcuts down here, and now I'm going to add a control. I'm going to choose scene or accessory down here, and control center can be a little difficult to control or to organize, but I'm going to make it a 1x1 square, but then you can tap on that icon, choose your home, choose your accessory, which is the lamp, and I'm going to tap and hold on this and try to move it up to this first control center screen. And now we have a control for the lamp here in control center. I can tap it here, turns on and off. And this is just the beginning. There's lots of other HomeKit products to control your home and also other sensors. This is the Philips Hue motion sensor. I find this to be one of the fastest responding motion sensors. It does require a hub, and I'll put links to the Philips Hue Hub and motion sensors down in the video description. But if you want to look for inspiration across all the different device categories, I'm going to link my page down in the description, which is beard.fm/HomeKit. And here I list every smart home product I've tested and reviewed, including many of the videos talking about the products. And you can browse by category. Cameras are something that works in Apple Home, all the different light switches you can get, plus the hubs, the smart plugs. You see my automations video is on this page as well. Here's some of the Philips Hue lights you can get. Here's sensors. This is the door and window sensor that I've been using in this video, but Aqara makes other ones that work with their hub. Eve has sensors, and a ton more. So if you go to this page, beard.fm/HomeKit, you can also jump to every device category. Maybe you want to look specifically for smart shades, which are really cool. You can do that, jump to shades, and I have some video reviews on those as well. If you're going to buy a bunch of HomeKit stuff, using the links on that page are also my Amazon affiliate links, so help support the channel and making videos like this to help walk you through creating your own smart home. 2 other automation tips, and then we'll talk about Thread and Matter. If you have an Apple Watch, this can also control your smart home devices using the voice assistant, or you can even put complications on your watch face that controls your smart home. And you can even go into the Home app here on the Apple Watch, and you have access to all your rooms and all your devices. And like I said, I have many devices. Now, even if you just have your HomePod Mini and a smart plug connected to a lamp, you can also automate the HomePod to do certain things. For instance, I can go to the Automations tab, click the plus button. Let's add an automation. This one, let's do time of day. Maybe every morning we want to wake up to some music. I'm going to choose every day at 7-something a.m., go to next, and now I'm going to choose the HomePod device instead of the lamp. I can go to next, and here I can actually choose to have it play audio. I can choose audio from my Apple Music library, or you can also just choose ambient sounds built into the HomePod. Let's go with some rain sounds. I'm going to say play audio when this automation runs. I can even choose to set a volume that I want it to play. I'll go back, and now every day at 7:20 in the morning, the HomePod is going to start playing rain sounds. Let's test the automation, and we have rain sounds coming from the HomePod. I'll hit done, and if you ever want the HomePod to stop playing something, you can just tap the top. Oh, and one last thing. Let's create a scene. Now, a scene is something where multiple devices can be controlled at the same time. One scene that I run every night is the good night scene in my home. Now, for the good night scene, you can choose if you want to turn all the lights off, and then you can also have your HomePod play something, and if we go to the audio tab, we can do the same thing. Let's choose audio, ambient sounds, let's choose ocean, we'll set a volume, and now when I run this scene, which I can trigger using the voice assistant, my lamp will turn off and the HomePod will start playing music. I'll hit done. Now you can choose what scenes show up on the main home screen of your Apple Home, and you can do that by holding, going into Edit Scene, and choose Add to Home View. Now I can run the scene by tapping it on my phone, or just telling the voice assistant good night. I'm going to turn on the lamp because part of the scene was turning it off. I'll go to my home screen, and let's say we're getting ready to go to bed. I'll activate the voice assistant and say good night. You'll see the lamp turned off, and the HomePod automatically started playing ocean sounds. And you can activate those via the voice assistant, or just tapping it here in the Home app, or even adding those to widgets on your home screen. By the way, that app, if you want to save these codes in a safe place, I use an app called HomePass. There is a subscription model to HomePass. You can add 3 devices for free, or if you want to upgrade to add unlimited HomeKit devices, it's $10 a year, pretty reasonable. Then you can add your home to the HomePass app. You have all your accessories and rooms, and to save these QR codes so you don't have to keep all these booklets and stickers around, you can tap the plus icon here, and this is actually showing you all the accessories already in your home. It requests to access your home data, which I allowed. Then if I want to save this code, I'll choose the accessory that I know it's here. It's the utility room door. And it doesn't automatically pull the code. Instead, you actually have to say change code, then scan the QR code. You can double check that the numbers match here in the app and here on the actual code, and then tap save. Now that code is safe, and there's even a great Apple Watch app. So if you ever needed to factory reset a device and then re-add it, you can actually pull up HomePass here on your watch. Here's that exterior door, and I can scan the QR code from my watch on my phone. Also, if you want to add a device to HomePass that's not already in your home, you can manually add it down here. And what I like to do, just to be doubly sure, I go to the settings, and here you can do a data export and export all your HomeKit codes via PDF. You can also do a spreadsheet style, but I do PDF. I save this to the Files app, and then I have a folder called Backup where I back up just a ton of things. And here under my HomeKit backup, you'll see all the PDF files I've saved from HomePass, and I'll just save that PDF here. If you're going to be adding lots of HomeKit devices and you want to keep track of your QR codes, highly recommend HomePass. Link to it is down in the video description. All right, finally, let me explain some terms you might see when you're buying accessories. Number 1 is Matter, which we touched on a second ago. If you're on Amazon, you're looking at a device, there's just a bunch of word salad here, like Matter over Thread, the Thread border router, all these kinds of things. If you have a HomePod Mini or Apple TV, you don't have to worry about this requires Thread border router. Those Apple devices literally are that. But this one says Matter over Thread. Well, what does that mean? Well, Matter, that's that little tag here that you saw in the box. Matter devices are made to work across different home ecosystems, meaning a Matter device can work with your Amazon system, your Google Home, and Apple HomeKit. Now, I personally just use the Apple Smart Home ecosystem, so Matter doesn't really matter as much for me, no pun intended, except to know that if I buy a Matter device, it'll work with Apple Home. That's really all you need to know. So when you're looking for a device, whether it says Matter or if it says Apple HomeKit or Apple Home, you're good to go. That device will work with your smart home. Then you'll see other words like Thread, or sometimes it'll say Bluetooth and Thread. Different smart home devices connect in a variety of ways to your network or to your smart home. Thread is the best way. Thread responds the fastest, it's the most reliable connection, and uses the least amount of battery power for things like sensors or smart shades. If you see a device that says it has Thread, I would recommend going for that one. I use these Eve door and window sensors in my home, and the Thread ones just respond really fast. One of the reasons why the Aqara sensor that I set up in this video works really well is because not only is it Matter that it says on the front, but on the back of the box you'll see built on Thread. And that Thread tag means it's going to respond fast and it's going to be a reliable connection. So when possible, get Thread devices, Matter devices, that's fine too. And the other thing you need to know is some devices do require an individual hub. Now it can start getting cumbersome if you have to manage multiple smart home hubs like Aqara and Lutron. I have a bunch of hubs in a closet with all my networking gear, but one of the reasons is if you want to use smart light switches, which I prefer switches over bulbs, I find them to be more reliable, and then people can control them just with the switch and it doesn't mess up the actual smarts. When you use something like a smart bulb, if someone flicks off the light, well, you can't control that smart bulb anymore because there's no power going to it. So my preferred method for controlling my home lights are smart switches, and Lutron is just simply the best. They're the most reliable, they're the fastest to respond, but they do require a hub. Hubs are easy to set up, and if you'd like videos on that, let me know down in the comments. But the Lutron hub, the Hue Hub, and the Aqara hub, those are the 3 hubs that I use in the home, and I find those are actually worthwhile. But like I showed you in this video, you can have an entire smart home with the only hub being your HomePod Mini or an Apple TV. You don't have to have third-party hubs. For instance, on my HomeKit page, you can use things like the Eve light switch. That does not require a hub, just connects directly to the Apple Home app. Leviton also has smart switches, although I'll be honest, I find their reliability to be a little lacking. That's why I usually stick with the Eve or the Lutron switches. Maris makes some good switches too. I have a bunch of those. But remember, if you're looking for smart home devices, just look for Apple HomeKit or Matter. Either of those will work. If you can find Thread, that means you'll have fast, reliable connection. But Apple HomeKit or Apple Home and Matter is really the important part. Now, like I mentioned, I have a ton of videos on my personal Apple smart home with 100 plus devices. If you'd like a full tour, I did one of those where I show you every device, smart shades, smart water hose spigots, all of that. You can check out my full smart home tour right up here. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button before you go, because I do smart home videos and cover the latest products right here on the channel as well. And if there's something you have a specific question about, you can leave that in the comments too. And if you want to see my favorite automations where I use motion sensors, temperature sensors, outside weather sensors, check out this video right here and you can get inspired for creating your own smart home. I hope this was valuable to you. Again, let me know if you'd like further walkthroughs for the smart home, and thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.